Last person testify.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate, as always, the hard work your team does and the data. I'm struggling with this. This is a huge policy change. And I just want to make sure that I am understanding what I'm reading and what I'm looking at. And I'm not going to get all into the weeds, but I struggle here because what I've heard and what I don't like is that 44% of our filers are not paying anything for services. So I struggle with that. At the same time, I struggle with taxes. And so when I look at 4216 and all the alternatives on here, is it fair, Frank, that to say that there are a percentage of our population that will have an increased tax liability regardless of these three alternatives in this bill? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to be fair, looks like alternative C has more people getting a decrease than an increase, at least, correct? But nonetheless, looks like 28% of our filers are going to pay more, whereas 39% would pay less. That's a little bit more comfortable from my perspective, but I struggle that 28% would be paying more. And so Representative Lowe was asking earlier, why are we doing this? Why are we looking at this? And I've been told, and I understand a little bit about why we're doing that, but if you go back to what our plan was a couple years ago, which was Act 228, and if we continue on that path, Frank, are there any filers that have an increase in liability under that current plan that we put in place a couple years ago?
I mean, if you keep phasing this, if you keep phasing the current
Correct.
rate down,
yes, sir.
No, there would not be any, because all you're doing is lowering the rate.
Yes. And so nobody has an increase if we stick to the plan we have.
Correct.
And then let's talk about, and again, we do politics and we do policy. We talk about these, apparently, well, let me ask you this. In your opinion, how's our economy doing here?
We're doing very well. I mean, people still like to move to South Carolina, either to work or to retire. So we're doing better.
Thank you.
I mean, excuse me, we're one of the fastest growing states.
Okay. So we're doing things pretty good here. So I'm in the mortgage business. I see people moving here. We read the articles about U-Hauls coming to the state. We hear the governor's state of the state. We see the numbers. Everything's doing pretty good. And if we keep on the plan we have, to Gilda Cobb Hunter and others' concerns, we're less risky, if you will, with what's going on at the federal level. I think we put a pretty good plan in place a couple years ago. I like the fact that we're sticking to that. I just don't understand. We've got a quote-unquote high tax rate if you look at that grid of all the states that you put. But Frank, what's our effective tax rate, the way we do it? Because we're different from there's 4 other states in us that do it a different way, correct?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Every state does it different. And those were the numbers I shared earlier on the tables, about 3.1, 3.2, whatever.
So apples to apples, South Carolina is below 4%.
Yes, on an effective rate.
I got you. I think it's up to us to just get that message out. We can't rely. I think if businesses are looking to come to this state and they're afraid of a chart they saw that had a figure higher and they don't do the due diligence to see what the effective rate is, I kind of question those businesses.
Well, and also that's the overall effective rate for everybody in that system.
Yeah.
On the average, I mean, it would be at a higher income, it would creep closer higher. The lower incomes would be a little bit lower if I broke that out.
Understandable.
Because we got a zero bracket. So.
Understandable.
But yeah.
I appreciate it. I just want to get that off my chest, make sure I was looking at it from how I see things and see the numbers. So sticking to the current plan, nobody has an increased liability. Any of these other plans, there would be an increase, obviously, because it's a huge policy shift and we're decoupling from the federal government. But it looks like option C, it's not a flat tax, but at least there would be a net decrease of tax liability for filers. Thank you, sir.